Hi friends, I'm back again. I hope all of you are doing pretty well. Today let's do something very interesting about learning. Let's try and answer the question, where and when learning happens. Well, the question might sound very simple, but the meaning or the essence behind this question is very profound. Actually, where does learning happen? Does it happen in a classroom where a trainer or a teacher is training or teaching? Does it happen in a laboratory where you are experimenting on something? Does it happen in a mentoring or a coaching session? Does it happen when you're working on a project? Well, learning can happen in all these formal settings where learning can possibly happen in an organized, planned environment. Now the question is, does learning happen only in such environments? Does learning happen only in such settings? Or can learning happen elsewhere? Well, actually learning can happen everywhere. It can happen outside any of these formal settings. It can happen anywhere, any place, any time. It can happen when you're driving to the office on the road. It can happen when you're talking to your kids. It can happen when you're on holiday. It can happen when you're traveling in a different country, talking to strangers. Or it can happen when you are lying on the sea beach in the night, looking at the skies and the stars. So it can happen anytime, any place, in any situation, when you are doing something or when you are not doing anything. That's really interesting. Life always gives us opportunities to learn. Let me share with you an example. Suppose you travel to office every day by taxi. Last week when you reached office, you realized that you are not finding your cell phone. So you deconstructed your journey from home to office. You recall that when you boarded the cab, you were holding the mobile phone. You made a few calls from inside the cab. Now you realize most likely you left the mobile phone inside the cab. Well, did you learn anything out of this experience? Actually, you did learn something from this experience, provided you decided that day, the next time when you travel in a cab, before you get down, you are going to look inside and then make sure that you haven't left anything inside. And provided you actually started doing that from there on. But if you did not decide anything like that, and if you did not start doing anything like that, actually you haven't learned anything. So this is really interesting. Life provides us opportunities to learn anywhere, anytime, any place. But whether we learn or we don't depends on ourselves. Whether a learner learns or does not learn depends on the learner. This is interesting. Let's continue with the same example. Suppose about a week later after that incident, when you lost your mobile phone, one of your colleagues was traveling to the office with you in a cab. Your colleague noticed that when you got down, or before you got down, you looked inside, minutely looked inside, and then tried to make sure or find out if you have left anything. Did your friend learn anything from that? Well, maybe he did, provided he also started doing the same thing. He also started checking, making sure, looking inside his cab, whether he has left anything inside. This is really interesting. Two different people probably had the same learning, but not from the same experience. One actually went through the experience, other did not go through the experience, but both of them learned and had a similar lesson or had a similar learning. So this tells us that learning can happen anytime, anywhere, any place. But two different people can learn very differently from each other. And that's really makes this lesson very interesting. Now, the question is, while life provides us ample opportunities to learn all the time, everywhere, do we really learn? Well, most of the time, most of us don't learn. So what we need to do to make sure that we learn from our experiences, from the situations, wherever we are, whichever place we are, whatever time it is. Well, what we need to do and how we can learn, what is that art of learning, we'll talk about it in one of our future episodes. Today we can conclude with a very profound understanding that life never stops teaching, so we should never stop learning. Life provides us ample opportunities to learn, but we should be ready to learn. And this is not just important for learners, for individuals, it's also important for L&D practitioners like us. We often try and confine our training or learning interventions to these formal settings like classroom, laboratories, coaching, mentoring sessions, etc. We will have to look beyond that. We'll have to enable our learners to look beyond that. We'll have to open their eyes to these new possibilities, to these new opportunities. With this profound understanding, with my best wishes to all of you for making a difference to your learners and for making this world a better place. Wish you all the best, ladies and gentlemen. See you again.